Who's really pulling the strings in today's financial markets? Think it's Donald Trump? That's the obvious answer. But what if I told you there's someone standing quietly in the shadows, shaping Trump's moves like a grand chess master? This man has diffused tariff scares, navigated U.S. China trade tensions, and even helped ignite a stunning 20% surge in U.S. stocks. Trump himself once said, "When this guy speaks on TV, everything just goes up." Who is he? Scott Bessent, U.S. Treasury Secretary. The hidden powerhouse, the silent architect of America's economic game plan. Hey there, Wall Street warriors and savvy market minds. Welcome to Stewardship Finance Academy, the place where we turn confused investors into confident ones. If you crave sharp insights and strategies that actually make sense, hit that subscribe button now. Don't miss a beat. Now, back to Bessent. Why does this man matter? Because he's not just another bureaucrat. It's the guy shaping policies that move markets, the one whispering into the ear of the president himself. Bessent isn't just influential, he's dangerously influential. Today, we'll dive into the mind of Scott Bessent, how he rose to power, his playbook for managing the economy, and most importantly, what it all means for your investments. Think you can afford to ignore someone with this much sway? Think again. Stick around, because this is the story that could change how you see the future of the U.S. stock market. Trust me, you'll want to hear this. Scott Bessent's story isn't just about success, it's about grit, audacity, and the power of reinvention. Born in 1962 in South Carolina to a humble family, life didn't start easy for him. When his father's business went bankrupt, Bessent, just 9 years old, stepped up to help. Picture it, a child learning resilience the hard way, understanding financial struggle not from textbooks, but from lived experience. These early lessons would shape the man who would one day move markets and influence governments. But Scott wasn't just resilient, he was fearless. He once dreamed of becoming a naval officer, but life had other plans. In a time when society was far less accepting, Bessent made a bold choice: to live openly as a gay man. It wasn't just personal, it was revolutionary. In the 1970s and 80s, this act of authenticity demanded courage, especially for someone destined to rise in conservative high-stakes industries like finance and politics. But Bessent never shied away from being true to himself, setting a powerful example of integrity that would define his career. Academically, Bessent was unstoppable. In high school, he wasn't just a standout, he was voted most likely to succeed. And succeed he did. At Yale, he graduated with honors in political science, proving that a sharp mind paired with relentless determination could open doors. Journalism was his first love, but fate intervened. An internship with legendary investor Jim Rogers sparked something deeper: fascination with finance. Bessent had found his path. On Wall Street, he didn't just survive, he thrived. Working with top firms and learning from icons like JMK Knows, Bessent built a reputation as a brilliant analyst. He had a gift for seeing what others missed: macro trends, hidden opportunities, the economic ripple effects that could shift industries. His boldness and insight made him a rising star, not just in finance, but as a thinker capable of shaping policy and strategy on a grand scale. Scott Bessent's journey from a boy battling hardship to a man reshaping markets and influencing governments is nothing short of remarkable. It's not just about where he came from, it's about how he refused to let his circumstances define him. His story is a testament to the power of resilience, authenticity, and unapologetic ambition. As we dig deeper into his impact on the world of finance, government, and policy, remember this: Scott Bessent didn't just rise, he earned his place. And understanding his journey might just inspire you to rethink your own. Stay with me, there's so much more to uncover. Let me tell you a story about ambition, strategy, and one audacious gamble that changed financial history forever. Picture this. It's 1992. Europe's currencies are tied together in a fragile agreement. The exchange rate mechanism meant to maintain stability. But Scott Bessent, a sharp, fearless strategist, sees the cracks forming. At just 29, he's already making waves at George Soros's legendary quantum fund, and he's about to make his mark in a way the world will never forget. Bessent had a bold idea. He believed the British pound couldn't keep up with the stronger Deutschmark. The system was unsustainable, teetering on the edge, and Bessent knew it. So, he devised a daring plan: short sell the pound. It wasn't just a bet. It was a declaration of war against the UK's economic strategy. Soros, trusting Bessent's vision, backed him with a staggering £4 billion. September 16, 1992, Black Wednesday. The UK government scrambled, pumping billions into defending the pound, but it couldn't withstand the pressure. The pound collapsed by a jaw-dropping 20%. Soros walked away with $1 billion in profit, cementing his title as the man who broke the Bank of England. But behind the headlines, behind the fame and fortune, was Scott Bessent, the mastermind, quiet strategist who saw what others didn't and had the guts to act. That single move solidified Bessent as one of Wall Street's elite, leading him to become chief investment officer at Quantum Fund. From there, he steered the firm through some of its most lucrative years, carving his name into the history books of finance. This isn't just a story about money. It's a lesson in vision, boldness, and the ability to challenge the status quo. Bessent didn't just break the rules, he rewrote them. And understanding his mindset gives us a glimpse into the kind of leader shaping economic policies today. Stay with me. There's more to uncover about Scott Bessent, and trust me, his story only gets more fascinating. In 2015, Scott Bessent made a move that put the financial world on edge. After years of leading the quantum fund to jaw-dropping successes, he walked away to build something of his own, a hedge fund called Key Square. This wasn't just another firm. Key Square specialized in macroeconomic and geopolitical investments, areas where Bessent's sharp mind and bold instincts thrived, and he didn't disappoint. Time and again, he spotted seismic global trends before anyone else and turned them into wins, proving he wasn't just a player in the financial world, he was a game changer. But then, Bessent did something that shocked everyone. He gave it all up. He left the billion-dollar world of Wall Street for the chaotic, politically charged halls of Washington. Why? Why would a wildly successful financier, with more money than he'd ever need, step into the thankless, high-stakes job of U.S. Treasury Secretary? Here's why. Bessent saw a storm brewing. Soaring government debt, runaway spending, a nation teetering on the edge of a financial abyss. I saw the U.S. heading toward a massive financial crisis, he said. And, true to his nature, instead of standing on the sidelines, he decided to act. For Bessent, this wasn't about titles or politics. It was about saving the financial future of the country he calls home. What makes Bessent so unique in Washington is what he isn't. He's not a politician. He's not someone who speaks in riddles or hides behind jargon. He's a Wall Street heavyweight, a straight shooter, with 35 years of experience navigating risk in the real world. His no-nonsense style has made him both admired and controversial. While some see him as a breath of fresh air, others bristle at his unapologetic candor. But love him or hate him, there's no denying one thing. Bessent gets results. As Treasury Secretary, Bessent has zeroed in on what he calls the biggest threat to America's future, its debt crisis. He's dubbed himself the U.S. bond salesman, working tirelessly to stabilize government spending and rein in the nation's financial chaos. It's not an easy fight, but then again, Bessent has never been one to back down from a challenge. His journey into politics started in 2024, when he reached out to Donald Trump with a bold warning about the nation's fiscal house. Trump, impressed by Bessent's sharp analysis and fearless approach, brought him on as an economic advisor. It wasn't long before Bessent's expertise earned him a spot as Treasury Secretary, a role he's since turned into one of the most influential positions in U.S. economic policy. Scott Bessent's transition from Wall Street to Washington is more than a career shift, it's a mission. And whether you agree with his methods or not, one thing is clear. He's no ordinary figure in government. His ability to blend cold analytical strategy with bold, decisive action has made him the architect of America's economic future. And for investors, understanding Scott Bessent isn't just interesting, it's essential, because when he speaks, markets listen, and so should you.
Scott Bessent's early days in Washington were anything but glamorous. For a man who had conquered Wall Street,
the cutthroat chaos of the Trump White House felt like an entirely different battlefield. And Bessent wasn't exactly welcomed with open arms. Figures like Commerce Secretary Lou Lutnick, a die-hard populist, the confrontational advisor Peter Navarro, dominated the room, pushing bold, headline-grabbing policies that fed Trump's MAGA movement. In fact, when Bessent was tapped for Treasury Secretary, critics didn't hold back. Elon Musk even called him a mediocre choice, publicly questioning whether Bessent had the guts for such a high-stakes role. Many expected Lutnick, a loyal Trump lieutenant, to land the position. But in a move that surprised everyone, Trump handed Bessent the keys to one of the most powerful offices in the nation. The road wasn't easy. For months, Bessent's cautious and methodical style was overshadowed by the bombastic energy of his colleagues. Lutnick and Navarro thrived on disruption, pushing policies that sparked outrage and applause in equal measure. Bessent, on the other hand, was the quiet pragmatist. He preferred data over drama, incremental reform over sweeping ideological change. It made him seem ... out of place. For a while, it looked like he might fade into the background, a Wall Street mind struggling in a world fueled by political theater. But here's the thing about Scott Bessent. He knows how to play the long game. Just as he approached investing, Bessent understood that leadership wasn't about chasing headlines. It was about staying steady when the stakes are sky high. As economic challenges mounted, his strategic patience began to pay off. While others swung wildly for the fences, Bessent focused on managing risks, finding smart solutions, and navigating the complexities of global markets with precision. Slowly but surely, the qualities that once made him an outsider became his greatest strengths. As the administration faced mounting financial crises, Bessent emerged as the calm in the storm, a key power broker, whose adaptability and practical mindset proved invaluable. While the hardliners captured attention, Bessent captured results. Scott Bessent's rise in the Trump White House is a masterclass in the power of strategy over spectacle. In politics, just as in the markets, fortunes can shift quickly. And Bessent's ability to tune out the noise and focus on the bigger picture shows why he's not just surviving at the top, he's thriving. His story isn't just a lesson in leadership. It's a reminder that in a world of chaos, the steady hand often wins. Scott Bessent's economic philosophy blends ideological conviction with pragmatic flexibility. Grounded in decades of real-world experience, he champions small government and market-driven growth, but stands out for challenging traditional dogmas when national interests are at stake. In today's polarized policy debates, Bessent occupies a nuanced middle ground and brings a fresh perspective. He views excessive government intervention as the main obstacle to prosperity, criticizing presidents on both sides like Biden, Kennedy, Nixon, Agbo, and Obama for relying on welfare expansion and overregulation. Bessent argues these policies often trap low-income Americans in dependency, citing the 100% effective marginal tax rate that discourages work by causing benefits to disappear as income rises. For him, real empowerment means fostering upward mobility and removing barriers to work. An admirer of Reagan's approach, tax cuts, deregulation, and limited government, Bessent is no purist. His global experience has shown the pitfalls of rigid ideology. On trade, for example, he departs from libertarian orthodoxy by supporting tariffs and strategic barriers to protect key U.S. industries. He sees this not as betraying free market values, but as essential for national security and economic resilience. Bessent isn't a doctrinaire libertarian or a blanket protectionist. He judges policies by their real impact, combining free market solutions with targeted interventions. As Treasury Secretary, this balance defines his leadership, promoting growth and efficiency, but also addressing vulnerabilities with data-driven reforms. His vision for America's economy is both bold and flexible, rooted in empowering individuals while safeguarding national interests. Bessent's philosophy goes beyond economics. It's about redefining government's role in a changing world. By challenging both left and right, he's forcing a new conversation about balancing growth, fairness, and sovereignty. Whatever your stance, one thing is certain. Scott Bessent is powerfully reshaping America's economic debate, and that debate is just beginning. Scott Bessent's economic policy is rooted in pragmatism, strategic foresight, and risk awareness. He steers clear of ideological extremes, instead focusing on practical solutions to secure America's long-term interests, whether with tariffs, the dollar, or China. For Bessent, tariffs are a strategic tool used to protect vital industries like pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, steel, and shipbuilding, crucial for national security and economic resilience. The pandemic exposed supply chain vulnerabilities, and Bessent believes targeted tariffs can encourage critical manufacturing to return to the U.S. However, unlike protectionist hardliners, he uses tariffs as leverage for better trade deals, not as a cure-all, but acknowledges tariffs can raise significant revenue, but warns they're not a fiscal silver bullet. Bessent's hallmark is negotiation over confrontation. He aims to protect key sectors while maintaining global stability, wielding tariffs with precision rather than as a blunt instrument. On the U.S. dollar, Bessent is unwavering. Its strength and reserve status are non-negotiable. He rejects devaluation, arguing it would undermine America's financial leadership and global trust, preferring a strong dollar as the bedrock of U.S. economic and geopolitical influence. His stance on China has shifted from optimism as a Wall Street investor to caution as Treasury Secretary. Bessent now criticizes China's export-driven model and overproduction, which he sees as fueling imbalances in U.S. dependency. Still, he avoids outright confrontation or decoupling. Instead, Bessent seeks a balanced relationship, using tariffs and negotiation to encourage China to boost domestic consumption and reduce trade imbalances. Overall, Bessent's policies are defined by balance and adaptability. He strategically intervenes to safeguard vital industries, defends the dollar's global role, and prefers reform and dialogue over dogmatic or aggressive tactics. His blend of principle and flexibility sets him apart, offering steady, measured economic leadership in uncertain times. As global dynamics shift, Bessent's pragmatic approach is redefining U.S. policy, and his influence is only growing. Scott Bessent isn't your typical Treasury Secretary. A Wall Street veteran, he left behind comfort and clout to tackle America's biggest financial challenges. Bessent doesn't chase headlines. He relies on disciplined risk management and a tough strategic approach that's earning respect in a chaotic world. He didn't have to take this job. He did it because he believes in fiscal stability, global competitiveness, and restoring U.S. economic leadership. For investors, this means stability, the foundation of smart decisions, since focus on reshoring critical manufacturing like semiconductors and defense isn't just economic policy. It's about national security and strategic opportunity. Unlike hardliners, Bessent uses tariffs with precision to strengthen supply chains, not to start trade wars. His aim, resilience, and new opportunities in advanced manufacturing, logistics, and tech. For Bessent, the U.S. dollar is non-negotiable, lights the bedrock of American power and investor trust. Knowing a strong dollar attracts global investment, and underpins U.S. influence. Quick fixes and shortcuts aren't his style. Bessent's focus is building lasting fiscal health, not chasing short-term gains. This approach is a game changer for investors. It may mean fewer dramatic market swings, but also more reliable, steady growth. Bessent's policies are reshaping the future of America's stock market. With key industries poised for expansion and a stable environment for long-term investments, now is the time for investors to reflect. Are you positioned for these shifts toward resilience and independence? Bessent's leadership is a call to action for anyone seeking stability in a volatile era. Are you ready to thrive in this new era of investing? That's why we're inviting you to sign up for our free stock investment masterclass, where we'll break down the strategies you need to navigate and capitalize on these changes. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, this masterclass will give you the clarity and confidence to make smarter decisions in today's market. Hey, don't wait for opportunity to pass you by. Click the link in the description to secure your spot now and start building the future you deserve. Ultimately, Bessent's vision is about restoring confidence in U.S. equities, in America's global standing, and in the idea of a clear path forward. In turbulent times, he provides the steady hand markets need. For you, this means opportunity and clarity of future where you can invest with trust, as Bessent writes the next chapter of America's financial story. All right, that's all for today. See you in the next video.